I gotta say, your book triggered me in the beginning, and it gave me all of the feels and ways that I was not expecting. Do you mind if I reveal to you what I sort of discovered from this process?
Yes. So are you saying that you started to read The High Five Habit and you got triggered?
Oh, Mel, the title alone gave me all of the feels. Hey everybody, I'm Dougall Fraser. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you're here. Hey, if you're enjoying these interviews, don't forget to click like and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. As you know, I am a self-proclaimed self-help junkie. I like trying all the new things and seeing what happens for me. And do I have stories for you today? My guest is an international speaker. She is absolutely incredible, and author of the new book, The High Five Habit, which is already a New York Times bestseller. Please welcome, I'm cavelling, Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins, I'm very excited you're here.
I'm very excited you're here too, because
Congratulations.
well, thank you. But I got to tell your audience that one of my all-time favorite people on the planet said, I have to meet you. And so I want you to know that based on what Jill Burns said, I'm like, put him to the top of the list. Let's go. Buckle up, baby.
So sweet. We adore Jill. I have to tell you something. I've been in the self-help world for a long time. I gotta say, your book triggered me in the beginning, and it gave me all of the feels and ways that I was not expecting. Do you mind if I reveal to you what I sort of discovered from this process?
Yes. So are you saying that you started to read The High Five Habit and you got triggered?
Oh, Mel, the title alone gave me all of the feels. So
why?
So here's the thing. I'm not a high fiver. And not only am I not a high fiver, but as an adult, I usually decline if somebody wants to high five. I know.
Are you a germaphobe?
No, it goes so much deeper than this. So I grew up in a very athletic community. And as a gay 6'6" overweight kid, my memory of high fives is hearing things like, Dougall doesn't get a high five because he didn't do anything, and sort of being left out. So when I started reading the book, at first I thought, why do I have such a challenge with high fives? Like even on the Peloton, if people high five you, not a sponsor, but they could be if they want to. If people high five you, I will ignore it. So I started the book and I really wanted to like merge into it. And so what came up for me in the beginning is sort of this past memory of I don't belong here. I'm not a part of the team. I'm not allowed to do this. And I'm really enjoying the book. I was going to race through it before the interview, but I want to sort of savor it because it's been bringing up a lot for me. And so in the moment where I'm in the morning, and I even resisted doing it before coffee, I had a lot of resistance, Mel. You were triggering me. And I got still and I took the challenge. And the first thing that I noticed is you cannot not smile. I immediately smile, and it immediately makes me feel good. And by day 3 or day 4, I'm going to get emotional. By day 3 or day 4, what came up for me was I'm in this game. And it may not be a lacrosse game, and I'm not going to cry. And it may not be like a soccer game, but I'm a 44-year-old man now. Like I'm in this game and we can celebrate ourselves. Who knew?
Who knew? It's been a wildly confronting process to not only discover this thing called the high five habit, but to unpack all of the science and research that explains A, why we resist it, B, why it's hard not to smile or cry or laugh when you do it, and C, why it has such a profound impact on people. And you know what I'll say is, number one, you're the first person that I've talked to that has brought up a negative memory around high fives. And so I'm absolutely thrilled to talk to you about it. And given that you have this negative association with a high five based on your lived experience, and you still push through the resistance, and you also were able to feel the impact of it, proves even further to me why this is such a profound habit. And the reason why is because it works from the inside out.
Yes.
And even though those bastards teased you and bullied you and left you out of receiving a high five, and so your lived experience and association when you thought about it was negative, the fact is that your brain's neural association and your nervous system's programmed association with a high five was still profoundly positive.
Oh,
Because
100%. Yeah.
yes,
And I have to own my own. What I realize as I'm sort of going through this process is I think I've perhaps even designed situations where I've either mentally left myself out or designed it so that I feel left out. Because I thought, now, why would I reject a high five? Because I celebrate it when I see other people doing it. But I still think there's that shadow side, inner child thing of, it feels like someone's handing me a lacrosse stick at first. And I don't play lacrosse, but now it's like, no, I can, and I consider myself someone that wants to uplift other people and give energy to other people. And obviously it goes deeper into just the high five in the morning. It's about self-care and congratulating yourself. And that's a struggle for me. So it was really interesting to give myself permission to do it.
it goes even deeper because it's actually about self-worth.
Yeah.
And about self-love. And I want to unpack something that you just talked about, which is, as you've been reflecting on the fact that it's not really just about, this represents what people who play lacrosse do. This actually represents something deeper because it represents acceptance, it represents support, it represents celebration. And it doesn't surprise me, given the amount of bullying and badgering and crap that you have had to take as a 6'6", overweight kid who is also gay, proudly gay, but you grew up in a time where it was not celebrated by your peers and not something that was the norm.
Right.
And so, I want to acknowledge that when you are somebody whose very existence is bullied and who feels like he doesn't belong because the laws say that you don't, or because the kids treat you differently, you develop protection mechanisms.
Yes.
And one of the biggest ones is to just pull yourself out and to be in the corner and to hide who you are because it's safer.
Yeah.
That way you don't get bullied. That way you don't
Exactly.
get badgered. And so, first of all, give yourself you get a gold star for the fact that you're recognizing it. Yep. Secondly, the high five in that lane, when you're somebody who is coming into and back to yourself, right? And when you're somebody who now realizes that you deserve to be fully seen for who you are. When you start to high five yourself, what happens is it's not like a fuck yeah, like a, it's like a bro. That's not what the high five habit is, actually.
Right.
It's actually grounded in compassion and empathy and support of self. And so the reason why you smiled when you did it is because your brain doesn't know the difference between watching somebody else high five someone else or receiving a high five or giving a high five to someone else and you high fiving yourself.
Yeah.
To your brain, the physical action becomes the trigger that unlocks all of this lifetime neural association with the high five. Now, you cognitively were like, screw the high five. That's for dickhead lacrosse players and those.
Right. Wouldn't even give myself a chance at first.
Get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But your brain still recognizes this as that gesture that people that like each other do to one another. So when you physically raise your hand to high five yourself, you can't think anything negative because your brain grabs all the programming that's already in your subconscious and then starts to marry it with your own reflection. So I'm not surprised that you're starting to have breakthroughs around, wow, I've really taken myself out in certain areas of my life. Wow, I'm so hard on myself.
Oh,
wow, why is it so hard to stand in front of the mirror and actually raise my hand in celebration? And, we can unpack that too. I
and
think
I
I'm
went
having
into
a
it
hot
kicking.
flash.
I went into it kicking and screaming because, I teach, I also am a big believer in the way you start your day, start your energy. And one of the things you say is even before your cup of coffee, which triggered me, Mel. This triggered
Why?
me.
Why did it trigger you?
Well, coffee fuels my soul. But what I discovered was that, even the act, even the act of pouring a cup of coffee is taking me away from myself first. I'm going to the kitchen, the dog is there. I'm, having a conversation with my husband. So making it a priority to go to the bathroom first, to just be with myself and sleep gunk and all the stuff in my eyes and all of that before the coffee, before any stimulant of noise or any energy outside of my own being. I resisted it. We're talking
Well,
about
let me
what?
tell you why. Let me tell you
Tell
why.
me. Dissect
Okay,
me.
so I love that you just said that you're a huge proponent of the morning, and morning routines and setting yourself up for success and your energy in the morning. And you are right. All the research shows that your mood in the morning and your intention in the morning actually impacts productivity and focus and fulfillment all day long.
Mm.
So you're absolutely right. And I'm so happy you said this because there's not a single person on the planet that I know of that is talking about the fact that everybody's morning routine contains a disgusting, destructive habit. And nobody has kicked the door wide open until right now.
What is it?
And let me tell you what the habit is. Before you read my book, when you walked into the bathroom and you were brushing your teeth, did you even look at yourself in the mirror?
I did, but not kindly.
Okay, I'm glad that you're being honest.
Yeah.
When you looked in the mirror, what did you think or what did you focus on?
I struggle with body dysmorphic disorder. My audience knows this. I write about it and speak about it openly. So there is a moment of distortion, which I could relate to you talking about this in the book too, where first I'm criticizing my body. And not only am I criticizing my body, but I'm thinking of what's going to make me feel good. Coffee gives me my coffee dance, is what I call it. I get excited. I get motivated. I certainly meditate, but the visual meditating is closing my eyes and not looking at myself. The visual of looking at myself, if I'm going to be completely honest, was more triggering than I expected it to be.
Okay, well, I wanna give you a sense that you're not alone in this. So when I discovered the high five habit during a very low moment in my life in April of 2020, and it just was something I did on a low morning, like you, where I'm standing in front of the mirror and I'm focused on everything I hate about the way that I look. And I'm beating myself up and I'm thinking about my day and I'm already criticizing the fact that I'm running late and I didn't do this and I didn't do that. And I just raise my hand and give the woman in the mirror that I see a high five because she looks like she needed it. She
Mm,
looks like life had beaten her down. She looked overwhelmed and exhausted. And I honestly just didn't have any words to say. And I probably wouldn't have believed him anyway, because
mm,
in April of 2020, my whole life was turned upside down. And so I didn't feel energized. I didn't feel empowered. I felt defeated. I felt lost. I felt overwhelmed.
mm.
And, I think we can all relate to that feeling.
Yeah.
And so that's how it all began. And as it started to work, and I noticed, like you're noticing, whoa, I feel more energized. Whoa, like I'm not criticizing myself. Wow, something weird is happening. I then post a photo online, and within an hour, more than 100 people around the world had posted a photo of them high-fiving themselves in the mirror. And I hadn't even put instructions
Right. They're
on
just
it. I
mimicking what you did.
mimicking. And I
Yeah.
thought, okay, there's something here. So I spent the last year researching this.
Yeah. I love when you nerd out. Tell us the nerdy part of why it works. I love this stuff.
Well, let me first tell you that you're not alone in the mirror. So the disgusting habit that every single human being, like, I don't care who you are, where you live, what your education is, how much money you have, everybody has this habit. It is a habit of self-rejection.
Mm.
50% of people cannot even look at themselves in the mirror. That's men and women.
Mm.
50%, because they are disgusted by what they see, or they are sad about where they're at. 50% based on our research.
Mm.
That's number one. Now, we know that 91% of women do not like how they look. And so if you can look at yourself in the mirror, you're in the minority.
Mm.
And if you do look at yourself in the mirror, what we know based on research is almost everybody focuses on what they don't like.
Mm.
And so, if you can't even look at yourself, that is rejection of self, and
Right.
it's a habit. And if you look in the mirror and you see all the things that you hate or need to fix, that is also a habit of self-rejection. And everybody has it. And nobody's talking about it. And what the high five habit actually does at its deepest level is it teaches you, using simple science, to break the habit of self-rejection and
Mm.
to replace it with a habit of self-acceptance, self-validation, and when you repeat this over time, a habit of self-love and self-worth. And so here's why this feels weird. The reason why high-fiving yourself in the mirror feels weird is that you are breaking that habit of self-rejection. And whenever you are practicing any new habit, it always feels weird.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's working.
Right.
If I lost my right hand today in a car accident and I had to write with my left hand, it would feel weird.
Right.
And it feels weird, not necessarily because it's new. It feels weird because the habit is now requiring me to plow new connections in my brain that aren't there right now.
Mm.
If your brain is currently wired to reject yourself, to go, ugh, when you see yourself in the mirror, it's going to feel weird to look at yourself for a second and then practice an action that says acceptance, belief, and love.
Mm.
That's why it feels weird. And so the reason why you resist it too is because there's this other habit that we have of judgment.
Yeah.
And in the bathroom every morning, I want you to consider you're actually not standing before your reflection. I want you to consider that you are in the bathroom with another person.
Mm.
That's a human being in the mirror.
Mm.
And that human being is trying very hard. And they are beaten down by your constant criticism and your hatred
Mm.
and your critiquing and
Mm.
you're focusing on what's going wrong.
Mm.
And they need you to wake up, and they need you to start to see them and to cheer for them and to support them. They need that from you.
This
And
is where the words that were floating through my mind are, is you are in this game. And if I may say, as it was building, not only am I in this game, but I'm sort of killing it. Like, not gonna lie, like, I love my life. Things are going well. And why would I continue these old tapes? And what's interesting to me as a spiritual teacher, I'm also a teacher as well,
I
is
know.
that I love when you talk about your struggle, because I have a real issue with toxic positivity. And a lot of times in spiritual communities, I might say to colleagues or friends, I've been a little anxious lately. And I feel like everyone like repels back and it's like, oh no, we can't have a negative thought right now. And, I'm a human being. Yes, I connect with people. Yes, I love to get motivated, but it's been a hard year and a half. There's been a lot of energy on the planet. And I think sometimes when I'm in the stillness of my own being, those quiet moments early in the morning, looking in the mirror, I save some of that negativity and maybe it festers a little bit versus sort of talking about it through the day. And so I love when you talk about your struggle, you're very, very honest about your relationship with that anxiety and stuff like that. And it's really refreshing and so necessary right now.
Well, I actually think the reason why you're negative is because it's just a habit.
Yeah.
I really think that you, like most of us, at some point, we go from these perfect, whole, complete beings that come into this world hardwired for celebration and self-love, confidence, and resilience.
Mm.
You know, you never see a baby take a step back from a mirror and go, God, my thighs are fat.
I
Like, you
loved
just,
when you
like, it
wrote about
doesn't
this.
happen.
Right.
And at some point, whether it's because of abuse and trauma and criticism in your home, or what happens to absolutely everyone is when you enter school and the driving survival mechanism is to fit in somehow,
Yes.
your brain goes from a self-love machine into becoming that sorting hat from Harry Potter.
Mm.
Where if you've ever, we can all remember back to that moment in elementary school where you've got your tray in the cafeteria and you're looking around for where you want to sit and your heart is pulling you towards the group that you want to go to. But the sorting hat brain, who's just trying to protect you, is like, you can't go over there. Those are lacrosse kids. Oh, you can't go over there. You don't look like them. Oh, you can't
Right.
go over there because you don't have the same kind of clothing or money or whatever. And your brain is just trying to keep you safe.
Right.
But you start the habit of rejection of self from a very young age. And it's just become a pattern. That's all that it is. Like, you're not broken if you criticize yourself.
Right.
You have
Right.
a pattern that is broken. And
This makes
that's
me.
why you need to replace it.
There's another story in your book that really resonated with me. And I know in the book you talk about it as being a hard story. I'm not a parent, but your story about your son Oakley and the blue hair, I really resonated with Oakley's perspective because when I was a kid, I was obsessed with Wonder Woman. I mean, I would spin around in that living room just waiting for the transformation, and I begged for Wonder Woman boots.
Yeah.
My parents purchased me the Wonder Woman boots, and I have this conscious memory of opening them, but then they told me I wasn't allowed to wear them out of the house.
Mm.
And I remember jumping around wearing them, and I'm an adult now. I know what my parents were doing. They were protecting me, and it was delicate, but I have a very clear memory of, oh, this thing that brings me joy is not for the outside world. And so I sat with your story about Oakley. If you want to share it, I would love for you to do it because it really touched my heart.
Sure. So it is a very similar story because what you're talking about is that you got the message at a very young age that in order to be loved or liked or be safe, you must comply with what other people want you to do.
Mm,
That it's not okay to be fully you.
mm,
And we all get that message in some way, but some people get it kind of pounded at them. And it sounds like that happened to you. And that
yeah.
was a very, very big message in your life that if you want to be liked, you better do what I say. If you want to be
Mm,
loved, you better do as I tell you. It's not okay to be you. It's not
mm,
safe to be you. And that's
mm,
what also reinforces this need to pull back and hide.
right.
And so our son is a huge fan of the video gamer Ninja.
Mm,
And so when he was in, let's see, 6th and 7th grade, we started bleaching his hair and then dyeing his hair. It's this whole process. I mean, who knew that you can't just put red dye in your hair? You got to first bleach it to white, then you can put in the red or the blue. And, the backstory on our son is he had bounced from one school to another because we didn't figure out he was severely dyslexic until the 4th grade. And so he went from the public school to a school for kids with dyslexia. And after 3 years at the school for kids with dyslexia, we're like, oh my God, this school's ending. And then he's about to go to this other tiny little independent school now where they could not only have him take regular classes, but give him the support. So blah, 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 blah. So we're now in the 3rd school. He's about to enter the school. He has to repeat 7th grade, which is already like a in the
Right.
face.
Right.
And as we are getting close to starting the school, I'm getting nervous because I'm realizing I'm about to send my son, who is this amazing dyslexic video game theater kid with blue hair, into a brand new middle school.
Mm,
And I start to panic that these kids are going to eat him alive. And so I let my fear, just like your parents did, dictate how I treated him. And I
right.
started to say, hey, buddy, you want to cut your hair before school? And he's like, why would I cut my hair? Hey, buddy, you want to cut those red tips out before you start school? Hey, buddy, you need a new haircut before we start school. I was clearly giving him the message, your hair's not okay.
Mm.
Your hair's not okay.
Mm.
And then his sisters piled on. And his sisters were like, yo, dude, it's not like you're a star lacrosse player. You sure you want to go rolling in there with blue hair?
Yeah, it's a
It's
a
hard.
bold move.
Yeah, it's pretty bold.
Yeah.
Pretty bold. You sure you want to be the new kid with blue hair? Is that really what you want? And again, we all loved his hair.
Of course.
Just like I'm sure your parents loved the boots.
That's
and
what
loved
I
seeing you
can
twirl.
even when you talk about it now, I can feel your love. I feel the protection. I so see both sides of the coin.
Totally. And so about a week before school started, Oakley came to me, and I think the way he said it is telling.
Mm.
He said, you know, Mom, we can cut my hair. We can cut my hair. And so we took him, he got a haircut, he started his new school. And, you know, what I realized upon reflecting on that story, and I don't like that story because what I realize when I really unpack it is what you're really communicating to somebody when you're pressuring them to change or to withhold parts of themselves is what you're really communicating is, I'm only going to love the version of you that I like.
Mm.
You're also communicating that there's something about you that's not okay.
Mm.
You're also communicating something that's really important. That's a major mistake that parents make.
Mm.
And I certainly made it, which is this. You can't handle it if somebody else doesn't like you.
Mm. I get that one.
And the other piece that you're communicating loud and clear is it is better to fit in and be liked by other people than to be yourself.
Mm.
And, you know, I know what my intent was, but I can also see that the impact of what I did sent a very loud message that I think we all receive in some way that makes us scared to be ourselves or makes us believe that other people liking us is the answer to feeling good about ourselves, when in fact it's the opposite.
Mm.
It's only when you can look at yourself in the mirror and like the person that you see that you realize that people pleasing was never about other people. It was about your own insecurity. And if you can like yourself, it doesn't matter if other people like you or not, because while it might hurt to not be invited to the party, it might not feel great if you're not included in a lot of things because people don't like you. It doesn't make you like yourself less because you know that you like you.
Mm. I'm so glad you put that story in the book because I know it's vulnerable. I know you said like this is a big story for me. And even beforehand,
You know, it doesn't even it doesn't even faze me. Let me tell you why.
You've integrated it now?
No, my brand of personal development requires me to
Yeah.
fall into a hole or to dig one. And then I gotta find a freaking ladder to get out of it. And it's in finding a ladder, whether that's the high five habit or it's understanding people pleasing or the mistakes I made as a parent. It's through all of those screw ups and those hard parts of life that I earn the life tested wisdom and I discover simple tools that have really helped me either forgive myself or understand what went wrong or explain the mistakes that I was making so that I don't make them again and somebody else can be saved the headache that I've caused myself, or that I discover something so profound like the high five habit that honestly is really the secret to cracking everything open and building a whole new foundation for your life.
I love the simplicity. I mean, I struggle with that word because yes, in theory, the idea might be simple, but it's so much deeper and so much more profound than that. And I really encourage anybody watching it to give it a chance because I immediately noticed a difference. In the world of self-help, it was one of the fastest, immediate responses I think I've ever had on a positive level. I'm curious as a teacher, part of what I do is I connect with people's voices. I really love the sound of someone's voice. So if someone's in an audience, I'll ask them to say their name 3 times. I might ask them to say their date of birth. I know nothing about astrology, but I love the tonal quality of people's voice. I love your voice. It's really powerful. It's soothing. I feel motivated by it. Did you always have that vocal quality? Have you taken voice lessons? There's something really, really powerful about your voice. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on it.
Thank you. So I believe that my voice is, and that quality that you're talking about is a gift that I have only recently realized the power of that gift. I have never taken voice lessons. I realize that I've probably done a number on my vocal cords, and I should probably work with somebody. I also am a shallow breather.
Me too.
So I feel like even working with somebody in terms of getting like deeper in here would make my voice even more powerful. But what I have heard now for probably 10 years is that it is very rare as a woman to have a voice that is low and rich, and that I don't know if it's timbre, what the word is, that there's some quality to my voice that makes it much more listenable. I don't even know what the word is because this is not an area of my expertise, but I will tell you, I will be standing somewhere and talking to someone, and someone in a crowd will turn around and literally grab me and say, "Oh my God, I listened to your audiobook."
Yeah.
And it's that noticeable.
Well, from my perspective, I come from the world of woo and energy, and a voice moves energy. And so it can be literal, the way someone introduces themselves, the way they say their name. And so when I hear your voice, whether it's on an Instagram live or listening to an audio recording or YouTube or an interview that you've done, it moves energy.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's really powerful. And you make me think and you make me feel. And sometimes I don't want to feel the things you want me to think about. And so I just wanted to compliment you on that, especially if this is something sort of you're knowing. But Mel, your voice is incredibly powerful. And I'm so incredibly moved by this book. It's incredible. As another teacher, I just rock on. You're doing really, really beautiful work. I'm delighted that you came here today. It's been super, super fun. And I just wanted to say, like, I find you like super cool. And I'm just really happy you're doing the work that you do on the planet.
Wow. Well, you made me think of something else about the voice, and I'll share this with you given the work that you do. I think the word that I would use in terms of the way that I speak, especially if I'm on a stage or I'm in an interview and I know that we're being taped, or even if somebody is just one-on-one and they are coming to me for advice or whatever, is that there is an intentionality with which I communicate. Because I know that particularly if I'm sharing something that I've seen work for other people or work for me, or I'm sharing a story that I know is going to move somebody, there's an intentionality around the impact. And even sitting here talking to you, I'm sitting here in my office, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to turn this around, but I'm going to try. Right over here, this is something that I started doing in my radio days. Actually, I'll just grab it. Let me just show you something.
Okay.
Back in my radio days, I hated the fact that I was alone in a studio. And so I started taking people's faces off of their Facebook profiles, and I made a big collage. And every time I would broadcast, I would have somebody's face up in front of me. And even when I go and I speak, so for example, 2 weeks ago, I was at the State Farm Arena, 18,000 people in the audience. The way that I center myself before any big speech is I stand backstage and I say to myself, there's one human being in that stadium whose life will be changed forever. They will not attempt suicide. They will find what they need to deal with anxiety. They will find the courage to leave a toxic situation. They will start that business. And I anchor myself down on the energy of something shifting for that person. And I go out onto that stage, and that's who I'm talking to. And it changes everything. Here in my office, since we've just launched the high five habit, this is what sits in my view.
I love that.
Right?
Look at all those beautiful people.
Yes. And so I speak with such conviction because I know that I'm not here alone. I'm shoulder to shoulder with hundreds of thousands of other real people around the world who are using the things that I'm trying to explain, and it's changing their lives.
Yeah. And I can feel that. I can feel the intention. And I love, I mean, for everybody watching, the book is The High Five Habit. I highly suggest it. Mel is an incredible teacher. And I just think where we are in the world today, we all deserve to celebrate each other, to stand up for each other. You're in it, you're doing it, you're making it happen. And I think this is an incredibly powerful tool to sort of add to your already self-help toolkit. And it's just been a delight. Mel, I'm a little obsessed with you. I don't know what to say.
Well, I would close by saying, I don't even want you to support each other. I actually think this year has punched everybody in the face.
Yeah.
And the real secret in life is knowing how to support yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you're sitting around like you have been for your whole life, waiting for somebody else to validate you or make you feel worthy or make you feel loved, it's not happening. And it's also outside your control. When you bring that back in-house and you start to practice habits that make you feel worthy and loved and validated by yourself, because you're demonstrating that kind of treatment to yourself with a simple high five in the mirror and, other tools that are in this book too, everything in your life changes because you change.
Yeah. I love it. Mel, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Everybody go out and get Mel's book. Listen to it if you want with that beautiful, powerful voice. I hope you have a beautiful day, and we will talk to you all soon. Bye.
Awesome. High five.
High five.